We are live. What's going on, dude? It's a beautiful
Happy
Sunday morning. I
Sunday.
think we get our NFL picks in.
Yeah, I'm getting a sunburn just looking at you outside in the sunshine there, Rich. Maybe I should put some sunblock on. The rays might be radiating through my computer.
I'm sitting underneath this steel veranda I just built last week. But I'm an iron worker. I should be able to work with steel in my backyard. It's a lot better than working.
And it's I gather it's pigeon proof. Nothing can fall on your head.
No, pigeon proof. Exactly. No shit's gonna fall on my head today.
Hopefully. You want to know how screwed up the internet is, Rich? So on Route 9D, that big the tunnel that you go in through from Beacon to Cold Spring, it's that big tunnel. So Friday, somebody puts on Facebook that they heard on a police scanner that it collapsed, trapping 6 cars. Now,
really?
Have you heard anything about that, Rich?
No.
I think that would have been major news, right? If that would have happened, right?
Well, listen. Like I said, Donald Trump's telling everybody that that Haitians are eating pets. So I mean, that's not too far out there. Everybody just throw stuff. Eric, this is a day and age where all you have to do is throw something out there and have one person believe it, and it's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the Ring doorbell, you get people put stuff on the Ring doorbell. Like, did you hear gunshots? Boom, boom, boom. It's like, so one day I was reading something and the guy said, did you hear the explosions last night? The gunshots? And all it was simply, Rich, was the Renegades having fireworks. I think we're too, I don't want to get into the politics or anything, but I think we're too soft as a nation right now. Every little thing scares us, Rich. I don't know what it stemmed from. Was it from COVID or something like that? But it seems like every little thing scares us now. We're like little, we're wussies, basically.
Now, whoever started that rumor about that, they should have at least put a little more effort into it. They should have said at least like there was a gunshot at Hudson Valley Renegade Stadium. The starting pitcher got shot. It was an unbelievable scene. Cops were everywhere. If you're gonna go for it, dude.
But I love it. I mean, even like with emergencies too. Hey, why are there cops around 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street? I mean, if you want to know that, why don't you go work for the police? Be the police scanner, the dispatcher. Then you can find out everything. I mean, sometimes you got to keep people's business private. I mean, say like if one of my neighbors, God forbid, is getting sick, I'm not going to go outside and put on Facebook, oh, ambulance outside, my neighbor's having a heart attack, God forbid, or something like that.
Right? So, exactly.
It's like we're ambulance chasers. We need to know the information. I mean, turn on the news. 48 hours later, I haven't heard one thing about 6 cars getting trapped in a tunnel in Beacon, whatever. So
no, yeah, exactly. No, and at least it'll be in our local news. You know what I mean? Like, or our local paper. That would be covered. That would be the cover of unless nobody gets shot in Newburgh overnight. That tunnel collapsing will be the top story on a Poughkeepsie Journal.
Rich, it would be the top story in the Daily News and the Post too. You would think.
That's what I mean. It's like people are nuts, man. It's getting really annoying, Eric, because everybody is just turning into everybody wants to report the news. I guess you know what? Look, not for nothing. I guess we're guilty of it because we do a sports podcast. Like I just put a TikTok video out there, just saying if you guys are tired of watching NFL players talk about their sport, it's like listen to 2 guys that have never played football before. Think about they know what they're talking about. Everybody thinks that they're a news reporter.
I played flag football.
What's that?
I said I played flag football before.
Well, I played too, but. Hold on.
I never put the pads on, Rich. That's for sure.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, listen, I played.
You put the pads or helmet on for sure. No,
exactly. At the end of the day, we watch. We're casual observers. We don't get the shit beat out of us every Sunday, and I guess those guys know what they're talking about. But you know what, though? Who says that we can't analyze a game? And just because those guys played, Eric, doesn't mean that they know more about. They know more about how to play the game, but they don't know about fandom. Is what I'm saying. Fandom and playing the game.
You know who might be joining us, Rich? Talking sports. Tua Tagovailoa. Well, I can't say the last name, but what do you think about that, Rich? I mean, how many more hits could he take like that? The concussions and stuff.
Now I haven't really looked up until this point today of how he feels about it, but I could say just from a perspective of watching football, I feel so bad for the kid because. Eric, if he goes back there, out there, who's to say it's not going to be this one or 10 concussions from now? But where he's at now is any rattling of that brain right now. He'll be a vegetable, dude. Like, I don't know. How important is that?
And how old? I mean, he's like 22, 23 years old. He's a young guy, too.
Now, from what I understand, he's a young, good-looking kid. He's got a good personality. They're hiring these NFL guys by the droves. And why not go and give it a try? Tom Brady I love Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't sound like an analyst last week.
Nope.
What I'm saying is, like, if you're a kid like him, I understand. Like, look, I understand. Like, you know what it is, Eric? There comes a point in everybody when they do stuff in their life when they, like you're a risk taker, or something's dangerous, or something's hard to do. Like, I'm coming into my 25th year of doing my job, and I used to be like this guy, like, oh, I want to do this. I'm up on 1,000 feet in the air. I'm kicking ass. I'm doing this. I'm happy I'm happy coming towards the end of my career being a guy that's like, all right, let's use our brains a little more. Let's think, and let's, like, and I think maybe you have to really take that into consideration, because Tua has one more concussion, and that's something that could happen on his job at any time.
Yep.
He could be a vegetable. He's a young man. I think that somebody needs to tell him that, look, dude, like, you might be all right now, but you may not be all right tomorrow.
Well, look at the approach he took, Rich. He went head first, basically, where quarterbacks usually slide. He went head first, and Damar Hamlin, ironically, made the
Ironic,
tackle.
yeah.
Yeah, and but Hamlin always tackles with his chest, so that's another thing that's bad. He tackles with his chest. Tua goes down with his head. I mean, we know what happens to Damar Hamlin. He almost died on the field, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, football's a different game it's a much faster game now. And the hitting's not as good, but there's still a lot of big. We see how many personal fouls we still see in a game, and roughing the passer. We see a lot of it. I mean, some of it, the quarterbacks get protected, but it's still a rough game. And to have, like, how many concussions he has at such a young age, God, I mean, we see these guys get CTE, dementia signs at 40 years old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it is, and these kids, obviously they're top of the crop, cream of the crop in their state, whatever city. They've been playing this game since they're 5 years old, ever since Pee-wees. And it's got to be hard to make that decision, at such a young age. I mean, I'm sure the kid's made money by now too, all right?
Of course he has, and if we look at other players like Junior Seau, for example, right? He killed himself. Instead of to the head, he shot himself in the heart because they could take his brain for, So I mean, there's still studies going on this. I know the helmets are different. They're wearing those bigger helmets, but it's still a rough sport, Rich. No matter what, you're still going to get hit. It's not like the NFL's never going to go to touch or flag football. Let's put it that way. It's always going to be tackle.
Right. It's always going to be tackled, but it is going to probably water down the talent level, I think, maybe because maybe at a young age, like a lot of these parents are like, if you have a gifted young athlete, maybe he's going to put him in soccer, or maybe he's going to put him in basketball or baseball because of, he could get hurt really bad. Your son or daughter could get hurt really bad playing these sports. And I think, parents are living more in the, in the hover and protect mode, with their kids. And maybe they won't be as as set to pull the trigger on their son when he says at 5, like, I want to join football. But you also got to think about too, in the Midwest, like if you go to a state like Texas or Florida or Alabama or any of these, like these other, go to the Midwest, it's like there's areas where it's like football is life. And if you're not getting smacked around in a head in a helmet and shoulder pads by the time you're 6 years old, you're a pussy. So the Midwest is going to probably keep the NFL alive, but I think the fringe states, like California and the eastern and western states and New York, and where people are becoming maybe more helicopter parents or looking around, like maybe they're going to keep their kids maybe away from football. I don't know, but I think the Midwest and out west is going to definitely hold strong with the talent pools, because those some towns in Texas, they don't give a fuck, what happens on the football field. They just want the teams to win.
And the NFL's so much money vested in the NFL right now. The NFL's not going anywhere.
I'm not going to talk. Listen, I'm not going to talk about the debate. That's not why I'm bringing it up. But why do you think the debate was Tuesday night? It was a Monday night, right? Why was the debate not Monday night? It was the beginning of the week. They put it on Tuesday night because football was Monday night. It was the Jets' home opener. I'm a game opener, not home opener. Game opener.
If the debate was in August, it would have been on a Monday night.
100%, Eric. 100%. Because
I want to talk about the Jets opener, Rich, because we spoke on Monday before the game. So Robert Saleh comes out of this game saying we got gut punched in the mouth, basically. The Jets gave up 400 yards. They 180 yards on a rushing without, and that wasn't even Christian McCaffrey. He didn't even play. So basically, the Jets went out there, and what were the odds they were going to win out there, really, against a tough San Francisco team, basically?
Listen,
I mean, as a fan, did you think they were going to win, or or you watch the game and say same old Jets, basically.
I wasn't the fan that was going to say if the Jets lose, it's same old Jets. Absolutely not. Relax, chill out. You know why? Because the third drive of the game when Aaron Rodgers led them down and Garrett Wilson looked like a superstar, catching every single thing thrown to him. Come on, guys, relax. Did I expect them to win? It's not an expectation level. It's more of like I'm not as disappointed as if they would have lost the one last year, but it's kind of like, okay, 19 points. I mean, watching that San Francisco defense, dude, those guys fly around all over the place, dude. What's that guy's name? His name, 54, number 54, the linebacker, dude. That guy's incredible, bro. I mean, you got Nick Bosa. I mean, this team is stacked on offense and defense. I mean, I don't know. Now that's this. You just asked a good question because I think last week, the offense looked like last year's defense and the defense looked like last year's offense because the offensive line pushed everybody around on the D line and all those linebackers. Sauce Gardner got bitched out by Deebo Samuel. He spent a minute and a half of the second half, the last minute and a half pretty much on the bench. If you go back to that play, Deebo Samuel hit him so hard, he had no idea what was coming. Deebo Samuel and them about the same size. So I don't think the Jets themselves were ready for what was going to happen to them. But as a fan, I think that I saw a lot of good things. I was okay with the fact that they lost. Fred Warner, Aiden's texting me because he's listening upstairs. Fred Warner, the guy, he was a beast, bro. And if they lost, okay, they lost. But if they won, I would have been super happy. But I'm not at all saying to cash in my chips because it's going to be a shitty season. Same old Jets because you know what? They scored 19 points. Aaron Rodgers looked like he knew what he was doing. I mean, he looked like he's, never sat down. Like, throwing the ball across his chest. Breece Hall took a little bit of time to get going a little bit. I noticed that. But once he got going, he's going to be a beast. And I'm calling this right now. I want to say it. Garrett Wilson's going to be the number one receiver in the AFC, if not the entire NFL. I'm not saying that the Jets are winning the Super Bowl because of this, but I want to say to statistics-wise, because see what that first pass when he threw to Lazard and Lazard dropped it? When was the next time Lazard got a ball thrown to him? Not until like way into the second quarter. So Aaron Rodgers loves Garrett Wilson, and you could just tell. I don't know what they're going to do, playoff, Super Bowl, it's all going to be, but I do know one thing. Garrett Wilson is going to be on number one on receiving yards and receptions this year. And I'm calling it right now.
Now, Robert Saleh said we got gut punched. That was the quote. Now, Robert Saleh, his coaching record, he's won 18 out of 52 games as a Jets head coach. Say the Jets lose today, Rich. I mean, last week you could understand them losing to the 49ers, a good team. But if they lose today, you get a bad taste in your mouth, right? Why are they 0-2 basically, where they're playing a team that looked good against the Bears, but just couldn't compete with the Bears last week, basically. So,
if they listen,
how do you feel about Saleh?
I feel Saleh. I don't feel Saleh is a good coach. I don't like Saleh. The only that's the only thing that I'm down on. I mean, do I think they should have fired him? Maybe not. Maybe that would have disrupted something. Or should they have got somebody in there that's a smart football guy that can really run the team, but say, okay, this is you're the head coach, because he's supposed to be a defensive-minded guy, Robert Saleh, and that defense looked lost the other day. And you have legitimate stars on that defense, and they looked lost. I mean, I don't think you can't fire him 2 or 3 games. You can't fire a coach 2 or 3 games into the season. You just have to say it is what it is. So what I think is going to happen is, I don't know, is Aaron Rodgers just going to take over the play calling? I think that's going to happen. Eric, if they lose today and they're kind of like mediocre 4 or 5 weeks in, you're going to see the argument start. You're going to see the fighting. You're going to see Salah and Rodgers going at it, and that's not going to be good. So I think today's a must-win just for the team. It's not a must-win for the season, but it's a must-win for the team, because I do not have any faith in Robert Saleh as a coach. I have faith in the players, but I don't really have any faith in the person that's leading the personnel into the games every week. I don't have faith in Robert Saleh at all.
Yeah, because don't forget, if they lose today, it's a short week. They come home on Thursday and play the Patriots at home. The Patriots went into Cincinnati last week, and one of the biggest upsets already in the season. They beat the Bengals, and now they play the Seahawks today. So very easily the Patriots can be 2-0 heading into that Thursday night game this week.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals were a victim of what happens to them every year. I didn't know this, but they've lost every home opener for the last 5 years, and they've always looked like complete garbage in the first week. So was that more of an example of them looking like garbage, or the Patriots playing that well? Because I don't think Jacoby Brissett looked well at all. I mean, he completed some passes, but nobody was being covered. It's like So, I mean, he's dropping these passes in, but I think that was a little bit of smoke and mirrors last week with the
You know,
Patriots.
sometimes it's looking ahead, Rich, because the Bengals play the Chiefs today. So it could have been basically, hey, we're playing Mahomes next week. Let's just go through let's make this like a practice. Basically, we'll run all over the Patriots, but it didn't work. A bloop in their face, basically. So they
If
could
they
start
play,
0
I'll tell you,
against
if
the
they
Chiefs.
play today, like if they play against the Chiefs, like they played against the Patriots, they're going to lose by 5 touchdowns.
And that's the game that's on in our area, Rich. Because it's weird. The Jets and Giants both play at 1 o'clock. It used to be like one team played at 1, one team played at 4, but both teams play at 1. That's been happening over the past couple of years. So we get the Chiefs Bengals game as the 4 o'clock game today. So fire up that red zone, Rich.
Oh, red zone. Okay, you just brought up something good. Okay, now before I go into my thing, how do you feel about red zone? You're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. You don't normally get too many Tampa Bay games this way. So, point I'm making is, how do you, as a fan of not a New York team, how do you feel as a fan of not a New York team, and how do you feel as a football fan? Listen, red zone's been around for a little while now. It's it's invaded all of our televisions. It's ADD television at its finest. Like, how do you feel about red zone personally? Like, do you watch it all the time? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I haven't really watched the full football game. Playoffs. Once the red zone ends, of course, I watch. But last week I did watch the full Buccaneers game. It came out 4:25, and I had a free pass to watch it on the NFL Sunday Ticket. I used to subscribe. I used to have DirecTV, but now it's on YouTube. And I'm not a big fan of streaming sports, so I keep my cable. So I do watch the red zone, and I usually watch it all day, basically. And what I'll do is I'll have my AirPods in. I'll be listening to the Buccaneers game, and then what I'll do is I will watch a condensed game of the Bucks game afterwards, because it gets posted on NFL Plus. I subscribe to that, so you get to watch the full game in like 45 minutes, basically. So that's what I do. It's tough. I know the Jets you don't have that problem with because you live in New York and they have so many primetime games, so they won't even be on Red Zone that much this year. But I do like Red Zone. I watch the whole 7 hours usually. Keep it on. There's no commercials. It's it's almost you have to wear a catheter, Rich, because it's hard to go to the bathroom and pull yourself away from Red Zone sometimes. Although today it's really strange because there's only 3 games at 4 o'clock. So there's 10 games at 1 o'clock. So it's going to be a big 3 hours, and then it just drops off with only 3 games. One of them, like I said, we see is the Chiefs and Bengals game. So how do you feel about Red Zone, Rich?
You know what? Red Zone was up in the air for me last couple of years. Like, listen, when it first came out, it's awesome. Watching the TV, I don't know how that guy does it. That guy he's an amazing broadcaster, because he's just sitting, he's like bang, 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 bang. I realized it more last year, but this year, opening season, I definitely realized it more that I don't like it. Not that I don't like it. I don't like it as much as if I were to watch a game. Now, me and Aiden sit there and we watch football all day long. That's what we do on Sundays. We got Red Zone going all day long. Now, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I do like it. But I think from a perspective of a fan, like, I'm a Jet fan, so my game is always on, one way or the other. So I will put Red Zone on at 4 o'clock or 1 o'clock or wherever. So, like, last week, it was a little much. Maybe last week was my determining factor because it was a little much because the Jets were on Monday night. But I like watching football. And, yeah, it's great to watch the touchdowns. And, yeah, it's great to watch, the good plays that happen. But I like watching plays develop, Eric. Like, I like watching, I like watching the offense against the defense. I like watching where the quarterback goes if he says, like, wow, he's getting a lot of pressure on the side. I wonder if he's realizing he's getting that pressure. I like to watch the checkdowns. I like to watch who's really paying attention to the checkdowns. Like, I like Peyton Manning was the king of the checkdown. You know what I mean? Like, and Zach Wilson was the exact opposite of the checkdown. Like, every time he had a checkdown, it didn't work. So I like watching them unfold, and Red Zone doesn't give you the opportunity to watch the plays unfold. With that being said, like last week, for instance, the Chargers were on last week, and I would have liked to see the Chargers, and I want to see Harbaugh's first game. So that game was on at 4 o'clock. So I'm talking to Aiden. I'm like, Aiden, let's just put the game on. He's like, no, Dad, no, Dad, no, Dad. So I'm like, you know what? I lost that argument. We kept Red Zone on, but it is good. But I think I'd rather at times just watch a complete, like, if it's going to be a really good game that's on at the same time of Red Zone, like, I don't know, let's, for instance, just say, like, an Adam Mark game. If Dallas is playing Philly for some reason at the 4 o'clock game, the Jets run at 1 and Red Zone's on, I'll rather watch every snap of the Dallas Philly game than go over, because the Dallas Philly game is going to give you what happens around the league anyway. So I like to watch them unfold. Like, I'll watch the game that has the better offense, the better defense. Like, I think Dallas, Dak Prescott doesn't get enough credit. I think he's an amazing quarterback. I would watch a Dallas Cowboy game over red zone.
Yeah, I
You know
kind of
what
like
I'm trying to say about that, though?
yeah, I like when they do the Octobox, and I wish they would keep it where you could have where they would keep up like 4 games at a time, basically. Like while he goes to one game, you have 3 other games going. I know baseball does it. It's pretty cool watching on baseball because well, baseball is a lot more laid back and stuff, so there's not that action happening. But what Red Zone does, Rich, is they go to a game when a team has the ball within the 20-yard line, let's say. So they might have gone to the 20-yard line with a 50-yard pass, but you don't see the 50-yard pass. So I do agree with that. But
Right.
I think red zone is mainly for the fantasy football players rather than the non-fantasy football players because when you're playing fantasy football, you just care about points. You don't give a crap who's
Yeah.
playing or all you want to name who scores a touchdown for me.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry scored me 6. Great. Okay, great. Now they go to the next game. So,
And Aiden said something last week about that struck me like that too. Because Aiden's like, I want Christian McCaffrey to have like 4 touchdowns, but the Jets to have 5 touchdowns. It's kind of takes fandom away a little bit too, because no way, like last week, I had Deebo Samuel on my team. I guess I was winning anyway, but like I said, I didn't want to see Deebo Samuel do good last week. I don't care if he had 0 receptions because, because fandom is different now than fandom then. Like fandom, like me and you are fans. Like there's no way in any shape or form, money, like you're not betting on against the Yankees or for the Yankees because it just, it messes up your day too much because you're watching and you don't want anything. Like if you were to vote, if you were to say, oh, I got a good bet on, I think the Red Sox are going to win today, and you bet the Red Sox, there's no way you're going to bet on the root for the Red Sox to win $500. You know what I mean? So fandom now, it's like it started with basketball with the players bouncing around and stuff. But at this point, it's a fandom has become something like you're right. My fantasy football quarterback, if he throws for 5 touchdowns, I want my real team to score 6, but if they don't, I still won fantasy football.
Yeah, and you had the Jets defense too, Rich. So the Deebo Samuel touchdowns against the Jets defense, not good, right? You still won your game though. You still won.
Jets defense still. I don't know what happened last week, man. Like Sauce Gardner, listen, he has to be a little tougher for them to call him the best to be the best cornerback in football. And I got one bone to pick about last night's game too, because I was never really a Joe Buck hater. You can't stand Joe Buck. I know that. Right? Am I right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was always up in the air about Joe Buck. You know what I mean? He calls a good game. Him and Troy Aikman and pass off to each other. But you know what? Fuck Joe Buck, bro. I'm done with him. And the reason why I say that is because all he talked about in the first half of that game was, and I'm not saying it just because it was my player and my team, but well, if he would have stepped that way and got hit hard, Aaron Rodgers would have gotten injured. Or Breece Hall better start running a little harder. He's like, because if he's out, the Jets are going to be looking for a running. All he talked about was if Aaron Rodgers getting hurt last year, 4 plays in, he brought it to everybody's attention, and the Jets were definitely watching. Me and Aiden had a collective sigh the 5th play of last week's game. But he brought it to everybody's attention. And I think that's analyze the goddamn game. Analyze it. I don't want to hear about people getting hurt and ruining. You know what it is? Because we always go to that. How's your team going to do this year? Well, barring injuries. No, shut the fuck up, barring injuries. How is your team going to do this year? If your team's going to do good, they're going to do good. Injuries are an unfortunate circumstance that happens in sports, but look at your team from perspective of they're healthy. Don't say and waste 20 minutes of your half broadcast on what if this guy gets hurt. Joe Buck, I am tired of that shit, dude. Done. It was such a terrible broadcast last week. It was.
Yeah. What if the guy gets hurt? I mean, the NFL gave the Jets 6 primetime games. They had a lot last year too. They'll probably get a 7th too with the Dolphins game, the last game of the season. So I think that's what he's concerned about is the Jets having 6 games and not like last year where they had all those primetime games and they didn't have Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. But the 4th play, Rich, that was the play to Breece Hall where Breece Hall fumbled, right? So the 4th play in the Jet season has been pretty bad. Yeah. So I'm going to put a bet.
Thanks for bringing that up. Too. I wasn't going to bring up negatives, but thanks for bringing that up, partner.
I'm going to put a bet
now you and Joe Buck are jerks.
No, next year I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson 50-yard touchdown pass on the 4th play of the game.
You know what? I hope so. Hey, you just brought something up. You just brought something up too that I'd like to get your input on. What do you think of Tyreek Hill? What happened with him? What do you think of that?
Well, Tyreek Hill always has bad games against Buffalo. Look at the history. And now it's going to get even worse with 2 out now for fantasy. Oh, you're talking about the arrest, right? You're talking about the arrest.
You are, dude. You are the best, and you are you're the you are the best.
You know
are just
why?
bang straightforward. It does not matter. Tyreek Hill could have had sex with a 9-year-old girl the night before, and you still would have talked about the receptions that he had. No, I'm just breaking your chops, but you're just all. What do you think
I
about the hat?
understand, it shouldn't have been done. They
Correct.
threw him to the ground, whatever and stuff. But you know what? Tyreek's a good sport because Tyreek scored a touchdown and one of his teammates put his hands behind his back pretending he was getting arrested. I love that. But I thought that was pretty funny. Tyreek thought it too. But yeah, it's the guy's coming to a football game, Rich. It's I think and the police officer I was reading had he had, he's just like an egotistical guy, this guy, and he got suspended a couple of times, I think, the police officer. I just think it was totally off.
So, all right. So I didn't know this about this guy. Okay. So how about this? How about this? And I said this to somebody the other day, and they thought I was like, "You're crazy." But how about this? How about you're Tariq Hill? You are the best player on the Dolphins, and you're probably the best wide receiver in the game of football right now. Okay. You drive a Lamborghini, whatever it was, a navy blue Lamborghini. These are Miami-Dade police cops. You're going to tell me that you have no idea that that's Tariq Hill driving that car? Now, this leads me to my question. Either A, this guy, or B, a friend of this guy says, yo, Tariq Hill was sitting on my girl the other night, man. It's like, I don't know if she went home with him or anything, but like, this guy's he's a football player. I don't know who he thinks he is. Yo, I got you, bro. I'm in that sector that day. You know what I mean? If I see him drive by with that Lamborghini, I'll try to push him a little bit, try to get him to act out a little bit. I just think of like situations like that because my mind just automatically goes to that place. But who's to say that this cop wasn't like, you know what, Tariq Hill, you're doing a 56 and a 55. I'm going to pull this guy over, knowing all well he's got to get to the stadium. Okay. Now the way he acted was fine. He was very cordial, and he should just kind of like, he's starting to bring it up now. Starting to maybe like, think that there might be a lawsuit or something. Like if he would have just left it alone, I'd be like, just leave it alone. He's still Tariq Hill. He's still making millions of dollars. Just leave it alone. But I do think that maybe there would have been a little hidden agenda there. Tell me if you think I'm right or wrong.
No, you're totally right, Rich. I mean, when I saw the news report come up, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like 2 hours before. Oh, there's always controversy, Rich, with these players. Before games and stuff like that. It's crazy,
But again, the way he handled that situation right after it happened, right after the game, the way he handled that situation, you couldn't handle it any better. I
maybe the police officer
growing up. I got a sheriff's hat. Then
maybe the police officer didn't want him to play in the game, right? Maybe the police officer had a bet on the game. How about that?
You know what? That's not too far-fetched, dude. Because you know why? What about that conspiracy theory about this running back Mason the other night? Did you hear about that?
No, what happened?
He had no clue that he was playing until I think maybe Saturday or something like that. Because McCaffrey, I guess, was okay. I don't know. So now this kid, undrafted, undrafted, comes in and has a sick game. Like literally, like he tore up the Jets defense. So I don't know if it's like, a conspiracy theory here, like, like maybe like they knew how good this guy was, or I don't know. But the conspiracy theory around that is like, McCaffrey said Saturday he couldn't play. Now this kid who's undrafted runs like a maniac. So what's the conspiracy theory? I don't know. But is it something fishy? I don't know. But you always have to look into some of these things sometimes. You know what I mean? But I think it was just a matter of McCaffrey being like, sometimes made of glass. But the kid played really well last week, man. And he was very humbled by it too, which is really cool. And he also made it.
McCaffrey might be out for about 5-6 weeks now, they're saying. So
now, how does the day McCaffrey come back? Now, let's say that this guy has, we say week 5. Let's say this guy's got 600 yards, 650 yards going into week 5. Okay. He's got catching passes. He's got 900 all-purpose yards. McCaffrey's back. McCaffrey's the best player in the NFL when healthy, right? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Tariq Hill, but he's up there with the, So what do you do?
Oh, McCaffrey plays. There's no doubt.
No, that's the thing. Like, all right, so if you're this kid Mason, what do you do? I don't. It's going to come to a conclusion where, he's going to want to get traded, or depending on the kind of person.
If you're Mason, this is your addition to make money, basically. So run up the yards, and then next year you play for another team where they, or San Francisco has to trade you and get some more capital back for you. But there's just no way McCaffrey does not get his job. Of course, he's going to be on the field.
No way. But I just think that was kind of odd that everybody's like, okay. And then Saturday, I can't play. I can't go.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Now, when you look at fantasy football, Rich.
Mhm.
So I was telling a couple of guys at work, and why are you taking Christian McCaffrey? The guy is made out of glass, like we said. Although when he's healthy, he's like one of the best players. But
Yeah.
look at all these guys too, like Justin Jefferson. Oh well, Darnold's throwing to him. Tyreek Hill now he doesn't have two anymore. So it's so funny how all these number one picks in an NFL fantasy draft, they don't mean nothing anymore. You can
I
even
know.
pick a kicker from now on in the first round.
Without
Kickers
their
kickers last the whole
counterpart.
season.
Yeah, man. Without their counterpart, they're really not as valuable as we thought they once were. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
and we've seen this before where guys get hurt too. Justin Jefferson got hurt that one year. Remember, it happens a lot. If you do a Google on the history of number one draft picks in fantasy football, I mean, it doesn't bode too well. It's like a curse almost, it's like the Madden curse with the video game. Remember all those guys, and stuff.
no,
And
go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
want to talk about one more. Look at Deshaun Watson. How much Deshaun Watson's fallen off. I mean, Deshaun Watson was a darling in Houston. He goes to had the issues, whatever. He goes to Cleveland. He's nothing with the Browns. Deshaun Watson. I think Cleveland's a graveyard for quarterbacks. Whoever goes to Cleveland, or whoever comes out of Cleveland. Look at Baker Mayfield played in Cleveland, right? We spoke about that. It seems like Cleveland's like a hellhole for quarterbacks.
Maybe the Instagram girls in Houston give better hand jobs than the one in Cleveland. I agree. There's something up with him, man, because he was throwing the ball all over the place, running all over the place, and it's not like he has bad wide receivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the offensive line isn't really that bad either. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I don't know. You know who the new before I forget. You know who the new Madden curse is? How Madden used to be, the curse for all the players on the cover. My son Aiden is the new curse. Every first round pick he gets is injured. He did it last year. Every single player he gets, his number one player, always gets injured.
And Jordan Love too. His quarterback's injured too.
Jordan Love out. This kid,
And he's still in the game. He's still
got no
luck.
luck. This kid's got no luck, dude. No luck. Whatever. I love watching it though. I love watching it unfold. Because he really takes it to heart. Those young guys really take this league to heart, dude.
Yeah, they do, and I bet they're watching Red Zone all day as well, these kids and stuff,
Yeah,
I know Ben watches Red Zone a lot at school, so he's got Fubo. We set him up with. They don't have cables, and they have the Red Zone on Fubo, so he's been watching the Red Zone.
Speaking about Ben, we got to get to a Met game, dude, with four of us. I was going to try and go to. I was going to ask if you wanted to go to Philly this weekend, but I couldn't do it. But if the Mets make the playoffs, let's the four of us try and get to a playoff game. I know you might be a little. Ben, come with me. I was going to call Ben.
I'll be in the Bronx.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't want to overstep your bounds, but I'm trying to think about next time we go to a Met game, like who would I bring that with me and Aiden? I'd love to go to a Met game with Ben, and you have to come with him, of course. But I'd like to go to a Met game with you and Ben, or like I said, Eric, just send Ben.
I've been going to the Renegades playoff games. They got the championship now they made. So game one's today.
I heard that place blew up the other night.
It was good. It was 4,600 people there, Rich.
You just sports. You just said it. Somebody thought that that Hudson Valley Renegade Stadium was a bomb.
But that was way back. That was way back in the summertime. They didn't have fireworks.
Yeah, Eric is here. Boom. Plows through everything. Never even hears the jokes.
No, they had the fireworks with their bats on Tuesday. The fireworks were from the summer. That's what it was.
Yeah. I hear you. But I don't know. Like, is the competition really that good over there at the stadium, Renegade Stadium?
Yeah. Well, the problem now, Rich, is all the kids that played during the season. The good kids, they've all got promoted, so they're in AA and AAA now. So basically, what you're playing with now is a bunch of kids that got called up from the Florida League. So the competition is not great now, but the competition is great during the season. There are some guys on the team that they're playing Bowling Green, the Tampa. There's some really good guys on that. There's some good guys in the Yankees system too. We know the Yankees like to play it up, but there are some good guys that might be in Yankees. Look at Austin Wells. Austin Wells came through Hudson Valley Renegades. Volpe. So Peraza, who never comes to the Yankees, he came up through there. But Austin Wells might win Rookie of the Year. They're saying he might be Rookie of the Year. But we talked about the MVP, Rich, and all of a sudden, Aaron Judge goes into this slump. He hits the grand slam the other night. I know we're talking baseball now, but Bobby Witt Jr. is making a name for himself, leading the Kansas City Royals into the playoffs right now. I mean, who had Kansas City on their bingo card for the playoffs?
Somebody brought up a really good point about the MVP the other day, listening to Sports Talk. And Judge falls into this also, I think. Well, not really. Judge not as much as Ohtani, but these are two big long ball hitters, right? This guy's hitting home runs. The Judge is tracking down fly balls. Ohtani pitched up until this year, right? These guys, Ohtani might be 50-50, but think about MVPs in the past. You would never in a million years think to put a DH as the MVP. I don't care if he hit 100 home runs in the season. You would never even think that. Francisco Lindor and Bobby Witt Jr. are old school MVP picks when you think about it. They do everything for their teams. You know what I mean? Whereas Judge slumps here and there, but say what you want about Francisco Lindor. He'll go for an 0 for 14 or an 0 for 12, but he has been very, very consistent. Just the other night when he broke out of his slump, and hit a home run, dude, to start that rally where the Mets won. I mean, Bobby Witt is really, if he keeps playing like this, dude, like why not give it to him? Judge just went through a streak without hitting home runs. These guys are valuable every day. And Judge I can't even use Judge as an example because he's playing a ridiculous outfield. But anyway, but
Ohtani might pitch in the playoffs. You're saying he might pitch in the playoffs.
Who?
Ohtani.
Ohtani?
Yep. Yep.
That would be interesting to see.
He's been thrown on the side, but I know the playoffs don't matter in MVP voting. MVP voting only goes to the last game of the season. But Ohtani, I mean, that could be the secret weapon for the Dodgers in the playoffs this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a Dodger. I'm a Dodger fan.
It's going to come down to the last weekend of the season because the Padres are playing the Diamondbacks the last weekend of the series. We know how that's put together, and the Brewers are playing the Mets. So it's going to be really cool because the Brewers, you say, oh, they don't have anything to play for. Yeah, they can play for a bye, basically. They're going to win the division, but getting that bye means a lot. I don't know how you feel about that, Rich, but getting 5 days off before your first playoff game or going right into the wild card 3-game series, I don't know. I think I'd rather have the bye, the 5 days off to get my pitchers back in shape and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm never a big fan of like even like with the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl, or I think in sports, man, I understand you're tired. I understand. I mean, you take a day off or whatever. Even the NBA too. It's like, it seems like the playoffs take 9 months. So my mentality is I would want to go. I mean, really when you think about it, man, like I know these guys are high level athletes, I'm even talking to me and you, like we exercise or we can do stuff here and there, but like without 1 day of rest. Okay, you dress, you sleep your ass off all day. I mean, why can't you play again the next day after that? You know what I mean? So why you gotta wait 5 days? I understand you gotta wait 5 days because the pitchers, but it's baseball, man. That's how baseball's been. What did Sterling say? It's baseball, Susan. It's
and he's coming back.
I think momentum is better than rest. That makes any sense.
Oh, I agree. You don't want to stop the momentum or anything like that, we've seen teams before that get the rest, and the wild card teams come right in and take care of them like that. Like it's no problem at all. So yeah, it's weird way, but it's going to be a pretty good final 2 weeks of the season. I know the Mets lost to the Phillies yesterday, so they're tied with the Braves now.
Broke my heart.
They play the Braves coming up, I believe, right?
They got 4 left against the Braves, dude. At home. And now yesterday's
game, they play at home.
Huh?
They play the Phillies as well as at home.
Yes, they have 3, and then they got 4 at home with the Phillies. That's next weekend.
Yeah.
These games right now for the Mets are the most important games they're going to play all season. They have played all season. Besides the Atlanta Braves series, where they took care of that. Now these games right here. Now, I'm just amazed that it's September and I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat biting my nails because I'm watching a team right now that's playing very, very well. And it's going to come down to like, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Braves and Mets have to play a 1-game playoff, just the way it's going.
No more. They don't have that anymore.
Oh,
it's best. It's head-to-head record versus each other.
Right now, the Mets are up in Atlanta. Right now, the Mets are up in Atlanta right now. No, yes, they are, aren't they? Oh, all right. There's the peanut gallery.
Record?
My stats are wrong.
Does Aiden have the record on that or no?
No, see, this kid up here right here. Okay, now we have to get him and Ben involved in the show when we go like worldwide because the two of them don't want to be on camera, but they're the smart peanut gallery. Like I always told Aiden, just sit down with a stat book in front of me because I make 1,000 mistakes. Just correct me on air. And me and Eric, like I said, correct me on air. It'll make for good, radio. Oh, I don't know, Dad. He'll get there one day. You know what it is? This is what the kid wants to do for a living.
I think they're tied, Richard. It's 5-5, I think, right?
5-5, Ed. 5-5. Anyway, but when they won on Friday night, it was amazing. They kicked the shit out of them, 11-3. Okay, yesterday they're winning 4. Oh, was it 4-1? Now all of a sudden I turn around. Now it's 4-3. Now all of a sudden it's 5-4. Now all of a sudden it's 6-4, and still they didn't give up. You know, like JD Martinez got a home run stolen away from him. Fine. Acuna looked pretty good, even though I think if Lindor was playing that entire game, it might have been a little different because at the end of the day, he's still a 21-year-old kid with no power, but he's gonna play, here and there, probably next year. But they have to win these games because I looked at it from perspective of, all right, yes, they beat them on Friday, but now we just took a step right back. So we kind of stepped out of the puddle and now right back in the puddle. So today is going to be a game today's a must-win for the Mets. The Mets cannot, under any circumstances, lose today's game. They can't. And I have to talk about the Mets and the Phillies. I got to make a quick apology to my cousin Freddie. My cousin Freddie is the one I told you a couple weeks ago that moved down to Philly, and I called him a Fugazi Mets fan because because he's down there with his whole family being a Philly fan. Well, he just sent me a picture yesterday from the stadium, from Citizens Bank. Entire in-laws family's got all Philly stuff on, and he's bare, white hat, jeans, and no Philly shirt because he is a Mets fan. And I have because he's a big Mets fan, and I had a little bit of a beef with him when he said that he was down there in Philly and he's rooting for the Phillies. So I had a little bit of a beef with him, and he actually called me on it because him and his father listened to the show, and he actually called me and says, "Yo, what are you talking about?" So I had to give a little bit of apology to my cousin Freddie. That's Freddie Perugia, living down there in South Jersey, right in Philly town. He is a Mets fan, but only when they're playing the Phillies. That makes sense.
So the Mets have a tiebreaker. They're tied with the Braves. They have the tiebreaker over the Padres, and they have the tiebreaker over Arizona. So the Mets are in pretty good shape if they can actually get there with the tiebreakers and stuff. But the Braves, that's the key because they're 5-5. But they play at Citi Field those last 3 games. Correct? This week is it or no?
Washington, I think, is next. I think the Nationals.
Washington. There we go.
And believe it or not, that's a division game, so it's important. Say what you want about Washington. They need to sweep Washington. They cannot kick back. That's like what I said to you. That's like what I said to you last week, what the Mets haven't been doing all season. They haven't been kicking back on these Sunday games. They haven't been kicking back. Just continue to do that, man. Don't even get in your mindset. Every single day you are playing the Philadelphia Phillies or you're playing the best team in baseball. It doesn't matter if it's the Nationals, the Padres, the Rays. It doesn't matter. You always got to keep your foot on the gas and keep scoring runs because you never, ever know. And that's what this team has been doing.
Yeah, no doubt. And for my Yankees, we play the last game with the Red Sox today, and then we fly to the West Coast. We got to play the Mariners and the A's. Of course, you got the old killer, Randy Arozarena, with the Mariners now, of course. Those are going to be some tough games. And then Oakland, they're counting down the last days of their stadium, so they're going to have some big crowds out there. So
you're going to tell me that the Oakland A's are not going to go down fighting? I was going to bring that up to you, dude. You're going to tell me that the Oakland A's are not going to go down with a serious fight? And that's it. And that's it.
Offensively, they got some pretty good players. If you look lately, these guys are hitting. Yeah.
How that city, I cannot believe what they're doing. I mean, the Oakland A's aren't the Rays. They're not like Colorado Rockies. Like, these are the Oakland A's, man. Dennis Eckersley, the second greatest closer to ever throw a baseball, played on that team. Mark McGwire got a start there. It's like there's so many people you can name over and over again.
And don't forget the World Series championships in the 70s. Yeah. At the World Series championships in the 70s, and stuff like that.
Reggie Jackson was there.
Yep.
I mean, what's going on? Like, it's becoming more of a. I guess people aren't going at the end of the day. I mean, that has to, but like, why? And again,
it's the owners. The fans told the owners to sell the team years ago, and the owners are a bunch of pricks. Basically, they don't want. So it comes down to. They don't care. They're going to take but Oakland lost all these teams. They lost the Raiders, the Warriors, and now the A's. They can't even keep teams. It's one of the most corrupt cities in the United States, Rich. Even the mayor is so corrupt, basically, in that town. It's just unbelievable what's happening to that city. You would think the fan base, there's so many Raider fans still that fly to Las Vegas to watch the games. They're losing 2 teams to Las Vegas, Oakland. It doesn't make any sense. And of course, the Warriors went across the bridge to San Francisco. So that city's been decimated now. It's one of the worst cities in the United States. Rich, look it up.
Oh, it is. It's that for violence and corruption, and Oakland's terrible. And you know what? Just because San Francisco, I guess it's just San Francisco, but San Francisco is just as much of a shithole over there. It's like the drugs and the homeless.
The West
It's
Coast is
disgusting.
homeless. Even San Diego too. A lot of people laying on the street. But
The
it's
free
not as
for
bad
all.
as Los Angeles and San Francisco right now.
Well,
Crazy.
I got my own thoughts on that, but that's a different show about why what's going on.
I
That's a
think we
different
should
show.
really spin rich. I gotta make my
Yeah,
fantasy
absolutely.
picks. Yep, we've
Yep.
done 45 minutes. So
Yep. I love it.
Jets and Titans at 1 o'clock. It's going to be the weather might have a factor in this. There might be a delay. These big storms come through, so I wouldn't be shocked if there's a delay where they send the teams to the locker rooms. That's how bad it's going to be. The Giants against the Commanders at 1 o'clock as well. So we see Daniel Jones. I don't know if he'll be the quarterback from last week or the quarterback from week 2 last year, where he lit it up in the NFL. So we'll see what happens.
Daniel Jones after today's game. Daniel Jones is getting benched after today's game because what's his name? The Washington Commanders are going to kill the Giants today. Right. I said it, Giant fans, and I'm not saying because I'm a hater. I know it all the time. I say it all the time. I'm not a hater. The Giants are going to get the shit beat out of them today. That young quarterback is going to run all over the place.
We're going to have Tommy Cutlets. We're going to have Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets come in, right?
Oh, yeah. But think about it. That's who's going to come in. I mean, the Giant fans, I'm telling you this right now, are in bad shape. They're going to get killed by Kevin Aubrey right now. One of our only listeners that are listening live is one of the biggest Redskins/Commander fans that I know. And I'm telling you, Kev, they are going to kill the Giants today. And that quarterback of yours is going to run for over 100 yards today.
Yeah, Buccaneers contained him. Well, they didn't. He got 2 touchdowns against the Buccaneers, but yeah.
Right, what do you think? One last thought. Is your team going to win today?
It's going to be a back and forth, Rich. The Lions showed me some. The Lions exposed some things last week against the Rams. I saw Baker Mayfield. That's what it is. I mean, Baker. He lit it up against Washington. It's a totally different team. Washington, Detroit. Sorry, Kevin. But yeah, I don't know. It should be a close game. It's 7.5 points on that game. The hook always gets you. So I would take the Bucks plus 7.5 in that game if I was a betting guy.
And I don't. And as far as my team goes, I don't even know or care what the point spread is. The Jets are going to win by 2 touchdowns today. Yep. What is it? 4? The Jets are going to win by 2 touchdowns today because somebody on that Jets defense grabbed the entire team and says, "Listen, guys, you guys are, who you are. Let's just go beat the living shit out of somebody this weekend." So Jets win by 2 touchdowns. Doesn't even matter what the point spread is. All right, dude. Like you said, for 45 minutes, we got some football to watch, and we got to do this every Sunday. How about that? Just a couple minutes.
Let's try. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yep. Like we don't got to do 2-hour shows anymore, Eric. You know why? We're getting more views right now with the shorter shows. So,
right. Exactly. Agreed.
All right, my friend. I'll be breaking your chops today about a couple of things, and maybe we'll text later. And thanks for coming on and talking for a little while with me because I want to get some stuff out in the open.
Okay, my friend. Well, have a good day and good luck. JETS Jets.
All right, Eric. I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna stay on for like 5 minutes myself and talk about Caitlin Clark. So I'll talk to you.
Okay.
I'll talk to you.
I'm out of here. Take care.
All right. I'll talk to you later, dude. All right, but like I said, Eric is gone. I'm gonna stay on here for about another 5 minutes. I gotta make my voice heard again about Caitlin Clark, dude. Anybody else out there listening or watching Caitlin Clark knows that she's changing the WNBA. She's still getting beat up on the court. She walked off the court the other night, rushing her face. Her own teammates don't even speak up for her. What is the problem with this girl? I don't see a problem. Does she talk shit? I don't even think she says a word. The only time when she walks off that court when she's grimacing or something was when somebody elbowed her in the chin or kicked her in the leg. It's time to start realizing. As a matter of fact, keep hating on this girl. Please. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Keep hating on Caitlin Clark. Keep hating on her. You know why? Because that hate is going to grow into what Michael Jordan turned into. She is doing that for the WNBA. I'm equating it to an athlete changing their sport. And again, stop. Debates are over. No good. No more debates. LeBron James, I don't give a shit who it is. Michael Jordan is the greatest, absolutely greatest basketball player. And hands down. Kev, you tired of the WNBA? Just started watching it this year, dude. Caitlin Clark is that person. That's her. How we say that's him? That's her. This girl is going to go down the record books. She's going to get $1 million contracts for the rest of these girls. People are watching. People are watching. What is it? Ticket sales are tripling. And no, not even just because she's there. So what I want to see out of the WNBA right now is, which they did, gave her the Rookie of the Year. I don't even know if she's got the scoring title. She's going to get every single award probably this year, except the gold medal, which she should have probably had. But he doesn't really care about that because 4 years from now, she'll be on and she'll have her gold medal. She'll have all her accolades. She might have a championship by then, and she'll have her gold medal. All right, guys, that's my shit on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. I think that she's going to go down in history as one of the greatest ever. And let's go Jets. One more thing. The Mets. This is a must-win situation. Francisco Lindor, 3 for 4, 1 home runs. Pete Alonso's hitting a big home run today as we bury the Phillies and go 2 out of 3. Let's go Mets. It is pretty cute, Kev.